Hey everybody! I have my helper here with me today. We have a special video for you today. We're going to show you how to make fresh Okanagan cherry jam. We love making our own jam, and jam is such a rewarding thing to do. It's great to give away as gifts, but it's also great to have in your pantry so that you've always got jam on hand. We already made some strawberry jam a few weeks ago, and it's cherry season here now, so we actually went yesterday, didn't we, Megan? Mm-hmm. We went to an actual cherry orchard because they're so expensive to buy in the stores. So we actually went to the orchard and we got a whole case of cherries. They were $2.50 a pound. Which is a pretty good deal. That was the cheapest I could kind of find them, and you definitely get a better deal when you actually go to the orchard. So we're going to show you everything that you're going to need to make your own cherry jam. And Megan just helped me pit all the cherries.
Yeah, this is the little pitter I used.
We bought this yesterday. It worked okay, hey?
It worked okay.
It was a little messy. It sprayed.
It was all over my face.
Yeah, she looked like a little bit of a bloodbath after. It was crazy. I just split them with a knife and pulled them apart and just took the pits out that way. I was doing probably 4 or 5 cherries to her 1. Anyway, so what we've got here, I'm just going to show you everything that you're going to need, and we're going to take you up to the process of when we start cooking it. But I wanted to show you the recipe and everything that you're going to need, and then we'll do a separate video on how to get it into the jars and how you'll know that your jam is ready to put it into the jars. So I'm just going to tip this down, and I'm just going to go over everything that you're going to need. So here we go. We've got you need to have 10 cups of fruit. Now this recipe will work for any kind of berry, any kind of pitted fruit like apricots, peaches, anything like that, so cherries. Or we've also used it for strawberries, raspberries, blueberries. It works for everything. Yeah, so basically what you need is you're going to need 10 cups of fruit, and then you're going to need 5 cups of sugar.
Can I put them in?
Yeah, you can put the sugar in there. I've already pre-measured I know it sounds like an awful lot of sugar, but you really can't skip on the sugar because otherwise it's just not going to set properly. So you go ahead and put all the sugar in there. There we go. So 10 cups of fruit, 5 cups of sugar. The next thing you're going to need...
the wooden one or this one?
Just a minute, Max. The next thing you're going to need is a lemon. Some recipes will call for pectin, like you have to get a little box of pectin. This recipe that I'm using just calls for a lemon. You don't have to use any kind of commercial pectin product. So what you do is I zest the lemon, make sure you wash it and everything, and then I zest the lemon first. So this is, I use this tiny little zester, and I just scrape that all, and then I get all this nice zest of lemon. So that's the whole lemon, and you're going to just put that right in here. Just like so. And then after you've zested it, you'll want to go ahead and juice it. And I just cut it in a whole bunch of little pieces, and then I use it. I think it's meant for limes, but it works really, really good for lemons as well.
It still smells like lemons.
It does. And so I've got all the liquid that I got out of that one lemon. So I'm going to put all of that into the pot here. There we go. So that's basically all that's going to be in the jam. That's all you need. It's just the fruit, the sugar, and the lemon, like the zest, and the juice of one lemon. So we're going to just put this aside for a minute. Now I just want to show you a few of the other things that you're going to need. When you're stirring this, when you start cooking this on the stove, it's a really good idea to have... I use a wooden spoon, and you'll notice how it's nice and flat here. This is great rather than just a regular spoon because you can get and scrape everything off the bottom of the pan, and you're going to be cooking this for quite a while, and you don't want it to burn or scorch on the bottom. So lots of stirring, right, Megan? Mm-hmm. So you really want to keep it going, and this just works the best if you have something that's flat. The other thing you're going to need is after you start cooking it a little bit, you'll notice that, because, well, cherries are pretty small and you don't really have to cut them anyways, but if you had something like a peach, you would want to section it in probably a few pieces, hey Megs? And take this pit out, obviously, and then once you start cooking it, it'll get nice and soft.
And then you start mashing.
And then you can mash it up a little bit so that your jam isn't so...
chunky.
You don't want huge chunks, but you want some chunks. So that's what the potato masher's for. And then once you get to the step of when you're going to be putting it into your jars, you're going to want like a ladle to scoop it into your jars. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the jars here in just a minute. I found this at Dollarama. I didn't have one of these last year, and I got kind of the jam was kind of running all over the jars and making a big mess. So I picked this up. It fits perfectly in the jar, and then you can ladle your jam in there, and when you take it out, you don't have a big mess or anything. So this is a great helper when you're filling up your jars. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you a little bit about
is the cooling process.
Yeah. So after you get your jam cooked and get it to the stage where it's going to set, like you want to make sure you cook it enough that I'll show you a little bit. We'll tell you a little bit about that later when we get to the next video. But what you want to do is to get ready for that, you want to put 2 plates, just little little plates into your freezer, which Megan's going to do right now, because that's going to help show, make sure that you can kind of do a little test to see if your jam is ready to be put into the jars. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about is, I'm just going to lift this back up again. On my stove, you'll notice I've got a canner at the back here. I've already filled it about halfway full. What you want to do is you want your jars to be covered with water and maybe even about an inch or so over top of the jars. And I actually boiled that already because it was such a big pot of water that it takes forever for it to get hot. So I've already got that boiling and I've just kind of got it on low right now. So it's going to be good to go when I'm ready to process. I've already got my jars ready.
And the plates are in the fridge, in the freezer.
So what this is I've got my canner. What I did was I washed with hot soapy water. I got all my jars ready, so they're all clean. And what I'm going to do is I've got my oven preheated at 250. I'm actually going to put these into the oven. They're going to be nice and warm so that when I put my hot jam in here, the glass isn't going to break because you're not going to be putting it into cold jars. So I find it's the easiest just to put it right into a roasting pan because then it's easy to grab out of the oven. So yeah, we'll put that in the oven in a few minutes.
I'm not putting it in there.
The other thing I want to talk to you about is the lids and the sealers. So you're going to need, always use brand new lids because you don't want to go to all this trouble of making homemade jam because it is a bit of a process. But don't be daunted because it's actually really easy.
No, sometimes.
So what you want to make sure is you use brand new lids every time because if you don't, they might not seal. And that would be a real shame if you went to all this trouble and then they didn't seal, right? So you need brand new lids that are going to fit your jars. And then you're going to need these little screw-on tops that you're going to screw on top, and then you're going to put them into your canner. Now, years ago, I remember when I used to make jam with my mom, years ago they used to suggest that you had to sterilize all your jars and all that. So a lot of you probably remember that. Things have changed. The guidelines have changed. You don't have to sterilize your jars because we're going to be processing it for 15 minutes in the canner. It's going to boil for 15 minutes. That's going to sterilize everything, and you don't have to worry about that. And the other thing, too, I think years ago you had to warm these up in a hot bath so that they would get soft, those seals would get soft. They don't recommend that you do that anymore either because again, you're going to be putting it in the boiling bath anyways and they're going to seal properly without having to do that. So it's way easier than it used to be for sure. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it as far as the recipe goes, what you need and some of the tools that you need. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this started on the stove because it takes, you're going to think that you're going to be stirring, and it's probably going to take a good 15-20 minutes of cooking.
One other thing, make sure you don't put 11 cups in because even one extra cup or 2 extra berries, it will overflow.
Yeah, so make sure you're 10 cups of fruit, 5 cups of sugar, and no more because yeah, your pot could overflow it. It kind of expands and bubbles up as it's cooking, and then it shrinks down. So
it gives a heart attack.
yeah, so we'll get it to the stage where it's almost ready to check to see. We'll put it on the little plates and put it in the freezer, and I'll show you how to check for readiness as far as the jam, because you want to make sure you get it to the right stage or it's not going to set for you properly. So we're going to get it to almost that stage, and then we will show you the rest of the process of making jam.
We'll see you in episode 2.
All right, we'll see you soon, everybody.
Bye, guys.